Morning, Nelson. Good morning, Olamide.
Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning.
Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Ibrahim. You both are looking good today.
Just
I guess that the show yesterday was quite distinct, but I'm here today.
Indeed.
Interesting. So what are the papers saying?
Oh, a whole lot, especially on politics today. We're seeing some 2027
moves
dancing under the green grass. So we'll be bringing all of those stories to everyone today.
All right.
Allow it to dance as long as it's not a great snake.
Go ahead then.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And allow me to, speaking about yesterday, we didn't have you on the program.
I wonder why you're calling me out on the program.
Why wouldn't I call you out? I mean, you left me to sail alone here. That's not fair.
I mean, I think I'm still trying my best to get acquainted to the lifestyle in Lagos. I will say, you know, I miscalculated. Let's just say I'm an Abuja, resident for yesterday. But let's see what the papers are saying this morning.
All right, let's begin quickly with the Nation newspaper this morning. There's something here at the top nameplate of the Nation newspaper which is exciting to me. JAMB okays under 16 whiz kits for the 2025 UTME. This is really exciting one way for me. Now, whiskey, that would probably mean,
I mean, when I heard
the musician, but it's not talking about the
whiskey,
musician, by the way.
I thought of something else, but I think you clarified that it's...
it's about, exceptionally intelligent, children who have met the criteria, intellectually, I mean, of writing the exams. And so JAMB is saying, okay, a few of them would give them the opportunity to jump the age line, because, I mean, at that age, again, they wouldn't have been allowed to write that. But this is something... in my own thinking, to be celebrated one way or the other. I mean, because if they are able to do that, why keep them on the educational queue?
Right. I think that's actually great. There was the back and forth as to whether children below the age of 16 or 16 and above can get into universities. But I mean, we are going beyond the era of, this book, reading and all, vocational skills, artificial intelligence. So I think if we have kids that are exceptional, that are very good, as against, except from, learning and all of that, please.
If you can do it, the opportunity should be given to you to do it. And that's exactly what JAMB has done here. But there's something else there. Atiku, Imoke, Amaewhule meet Obasanjo in Abeokuta. We said 2027 is dancing, but... that's part of that. And Kano rejects judge again. Court adjourns case indefinitely, cracking the legal turf not for state creation. But the Nation has there as the head that Supreme Court dismisses Fubara's appeal against 26 lawmakers. We saw a report yesterday by our senior reporter in Port Harcourt. The Amaewhule-led faction, he was thanking God for the judgment. And I said, well, politicians thank God when it goes in their favor. When it doesn't, then hit the table.
Well, for the Obasanjo visit, I think I'm wondering how it is to be a politician. Someone can actually come visit you, low-key. You will see all that in the papers in the morning. Indeed.
But I think that'll be it for the Nation newspaper this morning.
Let's look at the Blueprint newspaper. And it's taking it up from the Rivers Assembly issue. Supreme Court dismisses Fubara's appeal. Amaewhule-led Rivers Assembly remains. This back and forth remains. And so there are questions as to what this means for Rivers State, especially in terms of lawmaking, and some of the decisions that were taken ahead, do they still stand? And what does this mean for the relationship of the governor with the lawmakers? And of course, providing the dividend of democracy to Nigerians. My visit to Obasanjo, not about 2027. And I was saying, who is asking? But of course, these are moves that we will be seeing. These are many more. Before 2027 comes.
We had the former governor of Cross River State, Imoke. We had Tamboa, Atiku himself. And it's not about 2027?
Well, You see a set of people, I think you should be able to paint a picture as to what it is. You mentioned something about marriage, but let's not talk about it.
But let's take it as a face word, according to what he said, and let it hang in there.
And on the top of the blueprint, jam to candidates. Come to the headquarters if you have biometric challenges. Well, of course, you should come to the headquarters. But then if there are sub-centers that people can access to make it less hectic, I think they should explore that. But that's what we have on the Blueprint newspaper this morning.
The first newspaper is next this morning, and there's something at the top name plates there. El-Rufai on Tinubu rift. We've moved on, but they can't sleep. I don't know who is moved on and who cannot sleep. And still on that line, Shetima, Tinubu's economic reforms key to $1 trillion GDP by 2030. Okay, something to look out for. And another story right here, which is very disturbing, Olamide. My wife sent nude photos to other men. Gospel singer Paul Nwokocha. Okay, I don't know who.
I love the fact that my face is not on the screen while you're reading this story. I take that back.
But again, this is what he says.
That's an allegation.
Exactly.
But apart from that, we seem to see a lot in the gospel industry. When I say the gospel music scene, in the past few days, back and forth. But let's leave it at that, since it's just an allegation.
Well, indeed, until she comes out to say yes or no, one way or the other. At the bottom of the first news right there, Lagos State targets 8,500 megawatts power boost to drive industrial growth. Well, that's something very wonderful to consider. But I'll let it off there for the first news.
And let's go to the leadership newspaper, which is also, referring to this pro-Wike Fubara camps deferring over Supreme Court verdict. But there is another story here. Analysts project 15% inflation as MPC holds February 18. There is, the speculation about the rebase of inflation to a base year in 2024. That will be 15%. But Nelson, I think, Nigerians are expectant as to, they want to see good result, I will say, positive, benefits for themselves in terms of, reduction in the inflation rate. But for the MPC to come out to say we're also speculating a 15% inflation, what does this mean for the average Nigerian?
That's a lot. And we're still talking about the conversation around tariff hike, in electricity, in fuel and other things. And so if the MPC is coming to say this as well, that's like putting how many bags of full cement on one human being. I'm not sure the person can carry it, Olamide. And so that's something to be concerned about.
That's something to be concerned about. But very quickly, let's take this PDP issue. Pressure mounts on Damagun to swear in Ude Okoye as party scribe. I think the PDP has made their decision. Well, with this pressure, some will say it is, otherwise. But I also hope that it is in the interest of the party, the general interest of the party.
But the party has recognized him as the national secretary, haven't they?
Well, we saw some, grievances before that. And I hope that has been laid to rest before this, step has been taken. But that's what we have on the leadership newspaper.
This Nigeria is the next paper to look at this morning. Three-man assembly. Supreme Court dismisses Fubara's appeal. Some team, one arm of the leg is smiling, the other one isn't. But let's take something else right here. Most governors live permanently in Abuja. NLC kicks. Good. That's something to to talk about, because they are elected to be in the different terrains to monitor what is going on and bring the dividends of democracy to the people. And so if they're living at the nation's capital, how do they know what's going on back home except through, first-hand report, or second-hand rather? Edo Governorship Tribunal Okpebolo closes case with one witness. Probably he thinks he's got it, so needn't bring another person. Spandev asked Tinubu to sign South-South Development Commission Bill 6 appointment of Niger Delta indigenes as NNPCL GMD. something on the table of the president to consider right there. But that'll be it for this Nigeria.
Now, very quickly, let's look at New Telegraph. On the New Telegraph, it is also quoting the Rivers Supreme Court judgment. There is another one here which says that that is a study on the bottom of the newspaper. Omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, slow biological aging. And Nelson, this is coming at a time where, you know, so many persons, we have online doctors. We have so many persons who prescribe. I don't even know who is into skincare and who is into glowing and all of that, who went to school for that. But now with this study, you know, also support. Of course, from, you know, time immemorial, we have been supporting the use of vitamins to ensure that, you know, you do not fall ill at this time. But I think this also raises attention to those who are, you know, prescribing.
You know what, why I was laughing when you mentioned the online doctor.
Oh, we have a lot.
We have so many now. You can't even tell if they are qualified to say what they say.
I mean, you just have to tell them you're not feeling too well, and they have a lot.
And Nigerians just jump at it. You see the number of followers that they have who glean on every medical advice that comes from them.
And there is the love or this, you know, urge to also glue. I don't know where we see it among leaders, but I think that's the major story here for me on the New Telegraph.
The Punch is the next paper this morning. And quite a number of stories we've taken already, but there's something at the top nameplate of the Punch newspaper. Hospitals groan over deaths as federal government 50% power subsidy delays. Okay. And this is quoting the defense headquarters. 800 surrendered Boko Haram's militants undergoing de-radicalization. Hopefully, after they've been radicalized, they would be good to join the society and be good with everyone. But that's the other stories on the Punch, and we'll let it off from there.
And the next will be the Nigerian Tribune. And on the top of the newspaper, power outage, what the federal government, UCH, IBE, DC resolved to do, student protest as minister visit. I think this is also having an impact on the education sector, the health sector. Like you read, you know, lives are being lost. And I think it is one thing that we should focus more on. At the bottom of the newspaper, relocate NLNG plant to Niger Delta. Pandev tells the federal government they want Tinubu to sign the South-South Development Commission bill into law. That has been, you know, coming from time immemorial.
And they're asking to be made the GMD of the NNPCL.
So that's it on the Nigeria Tribune. Daily
Trust is our next with a picture story there of the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akiwumi Adesina. It says 2027, Adesina hints at presidential run.
Hints.
Okay.
Let's be sure it was not misunderstood.
Exactly.
But for the paper to quote this morning, I mean, there is no smoke without fire.
Well, let's wait to see the fire burn fully before we run.
I had a lot to say.
But there's something right here at the top nameplate of the Daily Trust. Jakpa, one doctor attending to 1,800 cancer patients, which therefore means most of the doctors who would have been attending to them are out of the country. This is not a good statistics for our health sector.
Not a good one. Not a good one. Having one doctor treat thousands of patients.
That's a lot.
Apart from even the health concern on the doctor himself, the burden and also remuneration. There's a whole lot of questions.
The level of concentration and efficiency of dealing with that number of persons, not good at all. But let's let it there for the Daily Trust.
Quickly to the Daily Monitor. CGN decries persistent allegations of inefficiency, delayed justice bias in judiciary. That's according to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekireko, and that's on the bottom of the Daily Monitor. That's another issue that we've been hearing. So many persons are unsatisfied, I will say, Nelson, with judgments that have been made sometimes in the past. But then it's a democracy, it's an open system. You can also go and, you know, appeal. But it's good that the Chief Justice of Nigeria is coming out to say, okay, I hear what you're saying, and there are possibly plans to ensure that, you know, these are being addressed. Issues of bias, issues of delayed justice. Delayed justice is also another issue. And we see a high level of, you know, recidivism. People who are in the prisons are also trying to find their way back because they do not see any form of, you know, solace outside. But that's the big story for me here on Daily News. Because
it bordered around criminology. That was why it was your best story. All right, let's get to another paper now, the Platform Times. And at the bottom of the Platform Times, there's something right here. Coup takes Abiodun to court over alleged dehumanization of civil servants. Well, something happened a few weeks ago in that state, and so they are taking the governor to the court to come answer for that. Well, we'll be watching the story to see what happens next. And then army arrest 29 suspected oil thieves, recovers over 60,000 liters stolen crude. There's a lot to have been said about that, but I think let's let it be for the Platform Times.
And to the Hope newspaper, Amotekun raises alarm. Influx of unknown persons to Ondo Forest disturbing the cluster in border areas, says the commander. Security outfits parades 20 suspected criminals. Nelson, if you've been to Ondo State, you know that you know, it has a large landmass and you know, forest also, and so it's likely that some unscrupulous persons, so to speak, may be taking advantage of this. But there is another story here on the bottom of the paper which says 80-year-old Ondo prince arraigned for property damage, breach of peace. I'm very interested in that story, but we can take a look at that, you know, some other time. But that's what we have for the Hope newspaper.
And the News Direct is the next to be considered, with something around hospitality, or your hospitality sector gains over 10,800 new investments in 6 years. Sounds like something good for your state right there. And sacked LG chairman, Osun government, APC differ on appeal court judgment. And then quoting Governor Fubara, why I withdrew my appeal against Amaewhule. All of this on the News Direct this morning, and I think that will be it.
And next is Daily Independent. Tinubu's $1 trillion economy target by 2030 is still on course. The federal government is assuring they have inaugurated the Presidential Committee to drive economic inclusion. JAMB cracks down on exam fraud, sanctions 6 CBT centers, and Lekki Epe Airport to be completed in 2 years. That's the Lagos government saying as aviation stakeholders task found to up its game. But that's what we have on Daily Independent.
And finally, we would have the Sporting Live with a little bit of sports this morning, as always. June 2025 friendly, Chile wants South Africa like opponent. I wouldn't understand why they are particularly chosen South Africa to do this for them. And there's something a little bit on there. Ancelotti confesses games versus City are a nightmare. This is, of course, as Man City versus Real Madrid will be locking horns pretty soon. But Mida, before we let go today, I'm particularly impressed about that story on the Nation newspaper, where JAMB is okaying about 16 whiz kids. I like the way it is framed, you know, to be given the opportunity to write the exams. But let me ask Vero and Ibrahim, what do you think about this? JAMB is crossing the line to say, we find these children exceptionally intelligent, and so we'd like to give them the opportunity at UTME. What do you think, Vera and Ibrahim?
I think it's a good one. I think it's something to encourage young persons to look forward to. people who see what JAMB is doing could just begin to say, you know what, I want to be the next Wiz kid that JAMB will pick up and give the opportunity next time. So it's a good one. It's an example and a way to encourage others to step up their game and become one of those who can be called Wiz kids.
Absolutely, but not in terms of music.
No, not at all.
Definitely.
Yeah, so give it to JAMB. I think JAMB is getting better by the day, especially, you know, not just about revenue generation. They're also looking at getting people to, you know, be rewarded and then be announced that, yes, we have so and so number of people that passed JAMB. Just few percentage didn't meet up with the cutoff mark and all of that. So if they're giving this opportunity for, you know, kids that are excelling in their academic, so I believe that this definitely will further engender or allow a lot of people to look forward to being in that pedestal.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Thank you, Nelson. Thank you, Olamide.
Thank you very much, guys.